Earlier today, I caught up with Code Sports' Robert Crash Craddock to get his thoughts on where England go to from here. And also Travis Head's prospects of opening, also the latest on the fitness of both Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood.
Well, I tell you, one emotion I'm finding amongst English supporters is anger and frustration. And it's very vivid over here, man. It's like, it's one thing to be trounced in a test match, but the ones that really hurt are the ones you bomb. And it won for 105 in their second innings. This was England's game. They needed probably 250 ahead to win it. That might sound funny, even they got to 205, but it was a game blown, and it just proved again that you cannot win a test match by playing in fourth gear all the way. You've got to grind, you've got to put your shoulder to the wheel occasionally, and you've got to be ruthless. And that ruthlessness was absent.
The last time there was a two-day test in Australia, it was devastating. It was at the Gabba. It was South Africa. They were rolled over inside 2 days. It must be financially devastating as well as emotionally.
Absolutely. It cost $4 million, Manners. And that's a body who were $11 million in debt at their last annual general meeting a couple of months ago. So they are dollar hungry. And look, where does the ramifications of this result seep to? I'll tell you where they do, to groundsmen of the next few tests. I mean, there's no way that they'll be preparing wickets that'll be green seamers. And, the last thing Australia can do really wants is another 2-day test. And I have to say, after the euphoria of Travis Head's extraordinary century sort of faded, people were saying, oh, geez, I hope the next one's not like that.
Will he stay at the top of the order? I mean, I know that you and I are old men these days, but if we played golf 3 days in a row, we'd be as stiff as old men. Usman Khawaja apparently played golf for 3 days before the test match and then had back spasms. Talking of anger, I'm sensing a little bit of anger that's directed at him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's fine until it doesn't work, isn't it? And that's been his custom before test matches, to play a lot of golf. The day before it, he hit 76 off the stick, 41 Stableford points, and won a competition. But and Cricket Australia is saying, oh, you cannot prove that that it was related, but you can't prove it was unrelated either. So, he's fighting for his place. If he is out injured, and I saw him at the airport the other night, if he misses this game through injury, he will never play again. If he is fit, I sense they may let him bat on, because he's only had one innings for the series. So, yeah, but it's a tight call, Manners. The poll in our paper that's running at the moment, 93% of people want Travis Head to stay there.
One of my favourite quotes was from a slightly frustrated Mitchell Starc when he was asked to give his verdict on the game. And he basically said, well, we did bowl quite well. He said it wasn't too much wrong with the pitch. I think the bowling is very good on both sides. I mean, he's walked away for 10 with a 10 for, and people are hardly talking about him.
That's very true. Like, he was the man of the match, beating Travis Head, which was a extraordinary effort. But, his stats are almost identical to the great Wasim Akram. They're a similar number of tests, similar number of wickets. Wasim had a better average, of course, but that's all you need to know about Mitchell Starc. Without him, they would have lost that test, Manners. Australia had two informed players, Head and Starc. And Starc was brilliant. She rose to the occasion well. And, of course, he's a pink ball prince for the next test in Brisbane. That's where he creates absolute havoc with the pink ball, even though he doesn't even really like it that much. So it's just, there was a sense of numbness, Manners, that has descended upon Australia after this test. We wonder what Mark Wood wanted to drive across the country. I mean, that's about a 20-hour drive just to clear his head from Perth to Brisbane. They didn't let him, of course. Thank God for that. He would have got lost in the Nullarbor Plain somewhere. But that shows that, how shocked he was, where he just wanted to get away from it all. And, their first innings bowling performance was as good a performance I've seen from an England bowling team in Australia for 40 years. It was outstanding. But they had no gap after it. Their batsmen disappeared, so their bowlers were out there again, and they were smashed. But they deserve better. The bowlers.
Can you explain the Pat Cummins situation? For the
Yeah,
uninitiated, it seems quite peculiar that he's running in bowling, long stints in the nets at full pace. Like, couldn't he have played in Perth? And why is he still a doubt for the Gabba?
yeah. Well, he practiced this morning significantly. The two injured bowlers practiced in Sydney this morning, Manners, Hazlewood and Cummins. But Hazlewood practiced with a red ball, which says to me he's not coming back in Brisbane. Cummins practiced with a pink ball, which says he thinks he's a chance. Now, that they were just being careful with Cummins, that old syndrome with a back injury. When you absolutely think you're ready to go, take another match off. So will he play in Brisbane? I think he's about a 45% chance, probably more likely out than in, but the call will be his. And it'll be a difficult one, but that's the problem with England and losing that first test. Australia will get stronger. Cummins will return. Like that was. Oh gosh, the stars seem to align from Hazlewood out, Cummins out, Khawaja injured. Bowlers get a quick go at them. You win the toss, you pick the right team, five seamers, you're ready to go, and they just blew it. And Joe Root to me was really culpable in it. Like you just needed a 50 out of the guy. You just needed a 50.
What sense are you getting from Ben Stokes and, in fact, all the other England players? I mean, you're there. You've looked into his eyes. We've all seen the clips of him talking in press conferences, but you don't get the same sense. Do you think there's a way back for Stokes and for England? He looks shell shocked.
Well, you've made a really interesting comment, Manners, because normally Ben Stokes has this, results don't matter. We're about with the way we play and all that. And on the darkest day, he's got this implacable demeanour. He was rattled this time badly. His voice was quivering, and he admitted, he said, I'm still in sort of now mode, trying to digest what's happened. He was rocked. And when the captain's rocked, so is the team. And the bowlers were really rocked. So it's very difficult for England in a 2-day test to have four good sessions, and yet their batters and their bowlers are totally chastened for different reasons. So, oh, man, before you and I go to heaven, hell, or purgatory, I'd love to see a close Ashes series in Australia, but there hasn't been one in our lifetime. It's extraordinary. England have won two in that time. They galloped away with them. They won easily. The rest have just been backslams to Australia. So our old mate Malcolm Conn used to write off England every tour of Australia, and he said, one day I'll look a fool. But I'll just keep saying, no, they've lost the first. They'll lose the second. They'll lose the third. They'll lose. And Mal used to love writing them off, but he was more often right than wrong. He was barely ever made a fool of, because he rolled the dice. And guess what? The dice come up with a pair of sixes.
Just briefly give us a sense of the history of pink ball tests at the Gabba. And you mentioned Mitchell Starc. I mean, if it was 2 days in Perth, you can't see it going much longer at the Gabba.
No, you can't. The ball will hoop around a bit here. Pakistan almost chased down 400 and something here in a pink ball test, which was interesting. Australia did lose a pink ball test here, but they've won 13 out of 14 pink ball tests. They play them well, Manners. You've got to get the rhythms of the game and don't fight it. If the ball starts swinging about sundown, you've got to think, right, I'll just absorb this. And I don't reckon England is a accept the rhythms team. I just reckon they go, no, we're playing this way and it's this way all the time. So that's why I think the pink ball test spells trouble for them, mate, because they're not a nuanced team. Let's just call it that.
Finally, you and I share a pet hate. It's batsmen who say that's the way I play. Charging down the wicket and having a slap. That's the way I play. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. Is that the sense you're getting from England again?
Yeah, exactly. That they're determined to play that way, but there's a real naivety about it. Like we have this thing they used to say, the Wacker width, the Perth width. Now, where the ball bounces a bit, so bowlers would bowl wide, and any drive, snick, gone. Well, that's what happened to Brook and Root and players like this. So Harry Brook will go down swinging. There's no two ways about that. But gee, the pressure is intense, Manners. If they'd have won that test, okay, suddenly it's a license to just be cavalier in the pink ball and go for it. But if they go down in 2 days again, Bazball is at the crossroads.
Is it not there already?
It's but it can see the flashlights ahead. It's about 100 metres away, but it's redeemable. They're one test down. But if you go two tests down, you've basically lost the Ashes. And if you had two quick tests in a row, that would be, this whole philosophy. And it's been good, They'd won one test out of 17 with Joe Root as captain before McCullum took over. I've loved some of the things they've done. I love some of the cricket they play, but you have to have some fibre with the flash. In amongst the pavlova like trimmings, you have to have some potatoes, carrots, beans, and peas. That are the sustenances of a decent meal, Manners.
This is the final question. It's like basically 2 weeks until England, play again. Um, and they're not playing a practice game. None of the Test 11 went to Canberra or will go to Canberra to play in that pink ball game. What are they going to be doing? And are they going to be having sort of paparazzi photographers following them around, trying to catch them playing golf and smiling?
Well, I think you are onto something there, because I understand there were some paparazzi at their golf. But here's the thing. They've elected not to send a batsman to the pink ball game in Canberra. In my opinion, that's a mistake. I'd have sent Crawley and Root, get down there. Jamie Smith's never played a pink ball game in first-class cricket. Get him down there. They said, no, we'll send him to the Gabba where it bounces ball. We've got extra training sessions and that'll be good. Wow, that's a big call, that one, I've got to tell you. So they're following their mantra, and I guess if you want to praise Brendan McCullum, you could say he doesn't care what people think. He makes his own decision. And he said, the one point I'll give him is he said, we want all our players to stay together. And I do get that. You're trying to rebuild as a team and get ready. There is that, but I'd still send guys to Canberra.